Hi, everybody. How's your Tuesday going? Not going so well out in Berea with the Cleveland Browns, the playoff-bound Cleveland Browns. The news is not good coming from the Browns situation today. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, two members of his coaching staff, Jeff Howard and Drew Petzing. Petzing coaches the tight ends, Howard the defensive backs. They are all COVID positive, and they are out for the remainder of the week and, most importantly, the game on Sunday. And a couple of players also tested positive. Joel Bitonio, the Browns starting left guard, who was so excited that the Browns qualified for the playoffs. It would be his first playoff game in his NFL career after playing on some horrible Cleveland Browns teams. He will not be able to play. He tested positive. So he is out of the game on Sunday. And wide receiver Kaderil Hodge also tested positive. So the Browns right now are crippled not by preparation for the game against the Steelers. They are crippled by this virus, which has hit them and hit them starting just before the New York Jets game. You know, the game that they were getting set to leave for on that Saturday afternoon to get to the Meadowlands for the Sunday game against the team that had only won one game, and all of their wide receivers were wiped out, two linebackers, two offensive linemen, and then they lost the game. Found it very difficult to be competitive against the team that had only won one game. And remember then, it continued all week last week, while the Browns really only squeezed in, and I mean squeezed in, two practices to get ready for what would be their most important game of the season against the Steelers. A win and you're in scenario. You need practice, right? And they only had a couple because day by day, leading up to the Sunday game, the concerns were very real and very evident that the virus had hit the Browns. More players tested positive. More players were deemed to be in close contact and were ineligible to play in the game against the Steelers. And now this. So what's going to happen? They're going to play the game on Sunday night. I know a lot of people are saying, how can they play the game? How can it be a competitive situation if the Browns have lost their coaching staff and their players? How do they go in and play in a playoff game? And I think the NFL says, you go, get on the bus, go 2.5 hours to Pittsburgh, and you play the game. It's a weird season. The NFL has come out and said that since they started this whole thing. But their motto is, we're going to plow through it. Any way we can get to the finish line, we're going to get to the finish line. They're not going to postpone this game. They're not going to push it to next week. They have a schedule. It's rigid. You play with the players that you have who are eligible, and you moan the fact that you're missing some key players. And now for the Browns, my goodness, their head coach, the guy that put this whole thing together, the guy that authored this wonderful 11-5 season, he's not with us on Sunday. Mike Prefer becomes the interim head coach of the team. Are the Browns prepared to do this? I would say this. Feel comfortable in one thing on this Tuesday. Feel comfortable that the Browns have been impeccably prepared all season long for whatever has come their way, with football strategy and with organizational strategy. So I would think there was a disaster scenario that they said, hey, what if the head coach gets sick? Remember back in the summer, he got a false positive test back, and he had to leave the team for only a period of about 9 hours. But still, I think at that point, or maybe even before that, the Browns were so organized, they probably had a plan in place. What happens if the coach isn't available? So Mike Prefer, the Browns special teams coordinator, the pride of Padua High School, will be the interim head coach of the Cleveland Browns on Sunday in their playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And remember, folks, I don't mean to be dramatic, but this is only Tuesday. As we go along, you wonder, will the Browns get hit with more of these positive tests? Could the Steelers get hit with tests? Who the heck is going to play on Sunday night? Somebody is, and the game will go on. I'm Jim Donovan on Channel 3's WKYC.com.